Kari Lou. Welcome to the T7 practice test question review. You're the first one. Hi, Diamond. Hi, Ruby. Hey, everyone. Hi, Scarlar. We're going to let everyone pile in here, and then we're going to start going over our ATI TEAS 7 practice test questions. Today, we're going to start with math, and then we're going to roll right into reading, science, English, all of that good stuff. We're going to be rotating it through. Hi, Raquel. Hi, Taffy. Hi, Pat. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Anna. Hi. So guys, as we're waiting for everyone from our email list to come on in, and as we're waiting for people coming in from our T7 study group, let me know down in the comments when you're taking your TEAS, and if you're taking the TEAS for the first time or if you're retaking it. That way you can find your TEAS bestie down in the comments, okay? We're just going to be waiting for 1 more minute, and then we're going to start going over these T7 practice test questions. Okay. Carrie says February 20th, first time. Okay, so you've got 10 more days to go. Which section do you feel like seems more daunting to you? Kari. I'm not taking the TEAS, but I am taking the HESI on Wednesday. Okay, I'm retaking the TEAS February 26th. Anna says she's taking the TEAS March, first time. Okay, well, the first time is definitely the hardest. Math and science, Kari says, is what she feels like is most daunting, most definitely. Anna says she is scared. Why are you scared, Anna? That's what this is all about. That's why we're practicing, right? We're in TikTok class. The scores here don't count. And you've got ample time to get ready. You're not testing until March. I'm retaking the TEAS on Friday. Lakia, if you don't mind me asking, which section is it that you need to improve your score in the most? How'd you do on reading and English, just by curiosity? I love this. Isabella says, girls, don't lose any hope. I failed my first time, passed my second time, and now I'm in my immersing program. Yes, can we snap and clap to this? Love this, Isabella. Thank you for being here, and thank you for posting that and motivating others. Most people actually have to retake the TEAS or the HESI or the Kaplan. It is very, very, very common. I've heard of people taking it 5 or 6 times. So if you have to retake it, it's truly not a big deal. You're not alone. There's no shame in that. The second time is always significantly easier because so much of that guesswork and that anxiety is really taken out of the equation because you've taken it before and you know what you're doing. Jen says she has to take the HESI soon for the first time. Jen, let us know in the comments, what parts of the HESI do you have to take? What sections is your school requiring? Now, guys, we're at 7:03, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So read this practice test question from the math section. Okay, remember that formulas will not be provided to you, so you need to be able to solve this problem without the formula. Okay, so let me know down in the comments what you think the answer is. Smiley, you're just in time. This live just started. We're 4 minutes in. This is going to go for about an hour. Bio, reading, and math is what Jen has to take. Okay, not too bad for a HESI program. We're going to go over the formula. In just a second, when we review the answer, I'm going to give everyone a chance to put their answer down in the comments. Okay, so I'm seeing Danda says B. P-Rum says B. Okay, do I have any more people dropping some answers down in the comments? And guys, as a reminder, when you take your TEAS exam, you will not be provided with formulas. So you will need to have formulas like this one, area of a circle memorized, area of triangles, squares, rectangles. Principal interest formula is another one that you're going to need to know. Rates of change. Jesse's in the comments saying, wait, let me solve it. I got you, babe. Go ahead and solve it. That's what we're waiting for. No issues. We'll go over it after you specifically drop your answer down in the comments. How's that? Danda says B. Thank you for the follow. Somebody says C down in the comments. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, if you guys, Jesse, go ahead and try, and then we're going to go over this question together, okay? And if you guys are studying for your TEAS exam, just know that you can give us a follow over on TikTok. We post practice test questions every single day, and all of these practice test questions actually come from our T7 online study guide. This is a really good printed book, very easy to understand. I believe I've linked the product down in the products, so you can get it now on TikTok. All right, guys, so I saw a lot of B's and I saw lots of C's. So the correct answer here is B, 4.5. So let's break down the formula and let's break down this question step by step, okay? And if you're just joining us, we're going over a TEAS 7 math practice question. You're just in time for us to solve this step by step. The next question we're going to go over is a TEAS 7 reading practice test question, okay? So if you're just tuning in, you're just in time, okay? So as I mentioned earlier, you will not get any formulas provided to you when you take your TEAS exam. So this is one of the formulas that you need to have memorized. So this is the formula for area of a circle, which is what you need to memorize. So we've got A equals pi, squiggly line, that's pi, r squared, okay? A equals pi r squared. So that basically comes out to area equals pi, then we've got our radius squared, okay? The whole question is not on the screen. Okay, is that better, you guys? Let me know if that's better down in the comments. Okay, so this is the initial formula that we need to use. Yes. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Perfect. Okay, so the question is asking us, what is the radius to the nearest tenth of a foot? So we're basically looking to solve for r. So let's take a look at what the question has given us. It says the bottom of a plastic pool has an area of 64 feet. Okay, so we can plug in 64 as area because we have that. 64 area equals pi r squared. And remember, we're trying to figure out what the radius is, so we have to get r by itself, okay? And then we know that pi always equals about 3.14. And then we've got r squared. Okay, so that's what the problem will look like once we have is 3.14 pi. Yes, 3.14 is the very, very simple. I love it. Jessie saying, ooh, in the comments. Okay, it's clicking for her. Yes. If it's clicking for you, drop your answer down in the comments. Okay, so let's keep solving this because remember, we want to get r by itself. Okay, so we want to solve for r squared. So to get r squared by itself, we actually need to divide this whole equation on both sides by 3.14 because now we're basically doing PEMDAS. Remember what we said about PEMDAS? Please excuse my dope ass swag. Okay, on this TikTok class, we don't talk about Aunt Sally, we talk about dope ass swag. So to get r by itself, we're going to start by dividing both sides by 3.14, also known as pi. Okay, and so what does that, I see my mistake, I divided by 64. I don't know why, but that's okay. That's okay. Me, a college graduate, not knowing a damn thing about this anymore, but that's okay. All of the math that we are going to see on the TEAS is going to be math that you have seen before. It's just been a hot minute, okay? So it's totally okay for this math to feel weird and foreign because you are here to learn, and that's what we are all about. Okay, so when we divide 64 divided by 3.14, again, aka pi, that leaves us with about 20. Ooh, why did I put my decimal all the way over there, y'all? Okay, 20.38 is what we're left with. Okay, and remember, we got to do it all by... I come from the Aunt Sally era too, okay? But someone put me on to dope ass swag, and that's what we're doing. So we've got 20.38 equals pi r squared. We need to know the radius. So now we still have to get r by its square, by itself. So how do we do that? We need to divide. We basically at this point need to take the square root. Okay, so we need to take the square root of 20.38, and that will give us r. And just so you know, when you take your TEAS exam, okay, you will be provided with an on-screen calculator, and the on-screen calculator under the number 3 is going to have a little square root button. So nobody is going to be expecting you to do these square roots by yourself, okay? So if you have a calculator and you put in the square root of 20.38, you're going to get that the answer is 4.5. And that is how we get 4.5 as the answer equals r. Okay? Does that make sense? Oh, thankfully, we have a square root button on our on-screen T7 calculator. Miriam says, so we divide 3.14 each side is to leave and have R2 by itself. Yes. And then since R2 is basically R squared, we need to do the square root of that to get R completely by itself because R equals the radius. So that is how we get 4.5 equals R. All right. So before we move on to the reading questions, just as a reminder, area equals pi r squared. This is a formula that you should be ready and have memorized, okay? Is there a specific formula for finding the radius, or did you deduce based on the area? Yes, so we basically deduced because this is something that we were able to basically work backwards, plugging in the values that they provided to us, okay? Perfect. And so somebody made a great, let me see, Jesse, you said, it says to the nearest tenth of a foot though. Yes, so good point. So when you get your answer, it says 4.5 equals r squared, right? But it says, what is the radius to the nearest tenth of a foot? So if this is our answer, but we have to take a look at our answer choices, none of these answer choices make any sense, right? So like 5 is not an option here. So 5 is not something that we can select because it's simply not here. So 2.3 is too low, 6.9 is way off on the rounding scale, and 10.2 doesn't make any sense here. So 4.5 is our answer. All right, so let's go on to everyone's favorite reading, okay? I'm gonna leave this on the screen. And guys, just so you know, if you have to take your TEAS soon and you're looking for a good TEAS 7 study guide, all of these questions that we're going to do science next. We've done one math and now we're moving on into reading. But if you guys need more practice test questions, if you're looking for an easy to understand study book that breaks things down exactly how I've been breaking things down in very easy to understand language, then you can get our T7 book that is actually linked here in our shop. Yes, you can go to our website and somebody put down in the comments, can I still use the promo code 15 off? Yes, so you can actually use tonight. Let's do code 20 off at checkout at our website, smarteditionacademy.com. That'll get you 20% off. Lena said, I just got the online course. It's very great, very detailed. Yes, so you can use the code 20 off at checkout to get our T7 online course for 20% off. And that will get you your first month of the online course that's guaranteed to help you pass for just $23.99. You can also, like I said, get the printed textbook. You can get it down in our TikTok shop. Can I use the ATI TEAS study book from 2023, or is it this different material? So the TEAS 7 was updated from TEAS version 6 to version 7. Most of what is going to be in a 2023 book is, to be quite honest with you, very similar, especially when it comes to the math and the reading section. There's really only been a change in the ratio of questions. And the other changes that you're going to see is the English section. Now is going to have you answer questions on the writing process. On the science question, they've added more chemistry, more biology, more scientific reasoning. And what's new to the biology section specifically is things regarding macromolecules, also known as your biomolecules, in addition to microorganisms. So those would be just some of the topics that I can think of off the top of my head that would not be in a version 6 book. So if you struggle with biology, if you struggle with chemistry, I would recommend getting the version 7 book. Brittany says the science section is impossible. I know, it's a lot of content. I counted it the other day, and I think there's literally over 50 topics that you can have asked of you on the science section. It is a total beast. That's why you have to take your time studying and just take it day by day. You study materials that work for you. Yes, Esmeralda, we're going to do more math. We are going to do more math. We're going to do one question from each section and keep rotating. So guys, I've only seen a few answers down in the comments. So let me know. Kira, we're live for 1 hour, okay? In the TEAS, is everyone's questions different? Yes, there's several versions of the TEAS exam. If you have to retake it, you might get like 1, 2, maybe 3 questions that you saw before, but the majority of them will be different questions. All right, I'm seeing lots of B's. Sophia says B. RJ's mom says B. Smiley says B. Miss Rue says B. Do I have any other commenters? I got B's, B's all day. Hi, Sophia. Welcome. Ari says B. Hi, Angela. Welcome to T7 class. We're going over T7 practice test questions. All right. You guys are on a roll. The correct answer is B. Okay. He is about to open the cookie jar. This is a detail that really does not provide any sort of evidence to back up the conclusion that Manny is eager for the male to come. Okay. Does anybody need me to talk about why B is correct? If you maybe didn't drop your answer down in the comments, maybe you were feeling shy, but now you're curious as to why the answer is B. Okay, I see one yes. One person would like me to explain it. Is there anyone else? Well, it doesn't matter. One's enough. Okay, so why is he is about to open the cookie jar the correct answer? So opening up the cookie jar has really nothing to do with him waiting for the male, okay? If anything, him opening up the cookie jar is just him trying to like fiddle and like distract himself while he's waiting, but it doesn't really prove that he's necessarily eager, especially if we look at the other answer choices that they give us. Remember, on the TEAS exam, you always want to pick the best answer choice option out of what they give you. And so if he was actually really truly focused and fixated on the male, he might be like constantly looking out the window and having his eyeballs glued out to the window versus trying to get a cookie out of the cookie jar. Okay? Diamond, the promo code is 20 off. And you can use that on the website. And so really quickly, before we move on to our science practice test question, A is not correct because it shows that he is checking and he's hoping that the male has arrived. So when he's like, not yet, he's mumbling to himself, you can see that he is hoping, and it suggests that he is impatient, okay? He sighs when he sees Mr. Mendez. Poor Mr. Mendez, he wasn't feeling the love. But when he sighs, that says that he is disappointed. It could also say that he is anxiously waiting. If he wasn't excited, he really wouldn't care about who was out there, right? And then D, this shows that he is excited and he has some urgency because he immediately rushes outside to see what he has. So B, he's about to open the cookie jar, really doesn't back up anything having to do with him being excited for the mail. Okay, so let's go on to our first science practice test question for the night. Okay, so if you're just joining us, we're doing some ATI TEAS 7 practice test questions. Right now we're going to do a science question. Your ATI TEAS 7 exam is going to have 18 scored A and P questions. All right, I see these answers coming in. I see A, I see A, I see A. Sophia says A. I see A, I see A. Smelly says, woo, I'm so bad at chemistry and biology, but that's okay. That's why we're studying. Poe says the left lung is near the heart, so it is smaller. I see 11 A's. I see 12 A's. Sheila says A or D. I could see why you would pick D. I see some B's. I see some D's. I see some D's. I see some C's. Hey, there is technically only one right answer, but all of the answers are completely viable. And a lot of them are there to trick you, and a lot of them are there to make you second guess yourself. So no shame. No shame. That's why we're studying. I would rather you learn with me here on TikTok and get it wrong here than you get it wrong on the real exam, okay? Lena says, yeah, now I'm second guessing, especially when that timer is going down. You will really, really start to second guess yourself. And that's why it's important, guys, that you really build confidence, right? Because the TEAS knows, especially if you have extra time, that you might go back and second guess your answers. You might, decide, well, is this really right? And I can't remember it. And there's just a lot of pressure. So that's why it's really important to take a lot of practice tests leading up into test day. It's important because the tests in the online course or even in the book, they're simulated to be very similar to the real thing. And so the name, we're going to get to the answer in just a second. I'm trying to make a point here, Ari. If you start doing really well, if you take your practice tests and you see that each time you take your test that your scores are getting higher and that you're really acing these concepts, you're getting your answers right on the respiratory system, you're getting your answers right on chemical solutions. When you take your real TEAS exam, okay, you're not going to be changing your answer and second guessing because you've given yourself the opportunity to really build your confidence because you've been taking a plethora of practice test exams, because the practice tests are going to guide you. They're going to tell you what you do need to be studying and focusing on and worried about versus the ones you don't need to be worried about, okay? So make sure that you take tons and tons of practice tests. I think you should be taking a new practice test every other week or every 2 weeks and really be using those as a guide. So the answer is A. Everybody was saying A, and then the longer I talked, the longer it was up here, then the B's, the C's, and the D's started coming in, okay? So proof in the pudding. And yes, Nurse to be asked a good question. You can take a free practice test, and then we're going to talk about the answer in just a second. Don't come for me in these comments, y'all. You can take a free practice test at our website, smarteditionacademy.com. And then if you decide to get our online course, it comes with 8 practice tests, and you can use code 20OFF at checkout to get your first month for $23.99. Okay? So let's talk about why answer A is correct. So answer A is correct because the left lung, and somebody said it down in the comments earlier, I think it was Poe, that the left lung is smaller than the right lung because the heart is slightly to the left in the chest. So in order to accommodate or to make space for the heart, the left lung just has to be a little bit smaller than the right one. And this is really all about how everything fits together in the chest, okay? So I know some people said B, C, and D. So let's quickly address some of these other answers, okay? So let's talk about B. So B is not correct because the alveoli are tiny air sacs that are inside the lungs that help with breathing, but they really don't have anything to do with lung size, and both lungs would have them, okay? The size difference is really due to the heart's position, not having anything to do with the alveoli count. C, the space the diaphragm requires to change shape. So this is not correct because the diaphragm actually moves up and down to be able to help with breathing, and it affects both of the lungs equally. It does not cause one lung to be smaller than the other. And then a lot of people had also D in the comments, so let's talk about D. The heart does expand, right, naturally, but this happens inside of its own space in the pericardium, and the lungs are shaped around the heart permanently, right? Like they don't go anywhere. They're just always there no matter what the heart is doing. And so their positioning and their size doesn't have anything to do with how much the heart is pumping, because the body's been created to have its own space, okay? So you guys are doing great. Jen says, thanks for that information. I'll start taking practice tests regularly. Yeah, especially if you have to retake your TEAS or your HESI exam. Instead of wasting money scheduling a retake and you're not even sure if you're ready, take practice tests. If your score requires you to take a 70 and you're taking practice tests and you're getting 80s and 85, then guess what, baby? Then you are ready to take the real thing. But if your school requires a 70 and on these practice tests you are getting 50s and 60s, then you know that you need to hold off on taking your test, and you need to study what is being shown as a weakness on your diagnostic report, and you just need to study those, okay? All right, so since science is everyone's favorite, we're going to do another science A and P question. Remember, you're going to have 18 of these when you take your real test. I'm curious this time, everyone's saying A, but the longer I have this up, I wonder, are we going to be changing our answers? Irma says A. Kai says A. Suga says B. Miss Unbothered says B. All right, well, I let the rest of these answers join in here. I'm going to put the promo code on here. So I saw Diamond asked. 20% off at checkout. Gets you your first month for $23.99. And that includes 8 practice tests, the online course, 100 videos, the mobile app, flashcards, and more. Victoria says A. Miss Rue says A. Rosie says A. Teresa says A. Can I pin the book to this live? Sure, I'm sorry. I thought it was. Boop. I think that worked. Let me know if that worked. Are you guys able to see the book? I see some A's. I see some A's. I see some B's. I see some C's. Sansoon says, yes, you can see the book. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay. So the answer is indeed A. So we've got ascending, transvoiced, descending, and sigmoid. Chosen said, I just paid for the 1 month and was wondering if I'll be charged again for the second. So it does renew after 1 month has passed. You can cancel anytime without a charge, either in your account, or you can send us a message on the website chat. In the bottom right-hand corner, there is a little doodad, and we are real humans, we're real people, and we will answer you, and we'll make sure that we'll get that canceled for you, okay? So you're not charged. No issue at all. Okay, so the answer is, like I said, A. Does anyone need me to go over why the answer is yay? So Kay says, can we go into a little bit more detail of the sigmoid? I know of the other parts. Yes, we can do that. Okay. Wolf says, yes, please. Yes, yes, yes. I love all the yeses. Okay. So the reason why the answer is A. So the large intestine has 4 main sections, okay? And they do go in a particular order. They go in the order that's outlined here in A. So we've got the ascending colon that goes up to the right side of the body, okay? And then we've got transverse that goes across from right to left, okay? Then we've got descending that goes down to the left side. And then we've got the sigmoid, which is a small curved section that is right before the rectum. And guys, these words, ascending, transverse, descending, these are all words that you need to be familiar with regardless. This medical terminology is going to be something that you're going to see on your TEAS exam. They might ask you things about the directional terms, the planes in the body. All of this kind of goes under the category of the organization of the human body. You might get questions about the 7 levels of organelles. So make sure that you know and are very familiar in general with this sort of terminology. And so the rest of the answer choices would be incorrect just simply because they're not in the correct order. So are the terminologies in the course? Yes, Lena, and I'll actually open up the book for you guys in a second before we move on to our reading question, and I will show you some of the words that you need to know. So really quickly, let's talk about the sigmoid colon because somebody here down in the comments did have a question on it. So the sigmoid colon is the part of your large intestine. It's located on the lower left side of your abdomen, and it's basically shaped like an S. So think sigmoid, think S, okay? And it connects to your descending colon, right? Which comes down to the left side before it goes to the rectum. And so the main job that this sigmoid colon has is to store fecal matter until it is ready to be eliminated from the body. It also helps with things like absorbing water and salts from the material passing through it. And basically, a good way to also explain it is that when you have to go to the bathroom, this part of the body is what pushes the waste down into the rectum, and that's going to give you that feeling that it is time to go. Okay, for lack of better words. So really quickly, Hope says I took this test today and I passed. Yay! I love that. So before we go into the reading question, let me just show you really quick out of the book some of those organizational terms as I promised. Pardon. And what I really love about this book, do you guys see how simple this book is? The pictures are big. You can read them. The words are very, very simple. Everything is explained exactly kind of how I explain it. Very simple to understand, no jargon. And this book is very, very simple in the way that it focuses just on what you need to really know for the test. Reproductive system. Okay, cardiovascular system. Hold on, almost there. Functions of blood. Okay, here we go. So really quickly, take a screenshot. And again, this is coming out of the book. So Lena, you can get it if you're looking for this course. If you're looking for this chapter in the course that comes with the videos and everything, you're going to go to your online course under science, under anatomy and physiology, organization of the human body. And that's where you're going to find it. Okay. Yes, I'm going to scoot it over. All right, so remember, these are what you need to know. Take a screenshot really quickly. You need to know your levels of organization and the body cavities. Okay, and this is exactly how our book is. Extremely simple, it's made to be simple. It's made to not make your brain hurt, okay? And remember, this book is pinned down in the comments. You do get free shipping. And if you would like the online course, you can use code 20OFF. And then here is the other chart I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so remember I was just saying you needed to know your body planes. And so remember all of these words we just kind of talked about. Transverse, we just talked about ascending, all of these words. Yes, you can buy the book on TikTok Shop. It is pinned. Okay, so these are some of the words that you should be prepared to know. So, terminology, body planes, and regions. And then let me go back to the first page, and then we're going to move on right into our reading practice test question. Brittany, the code 20 off is not for TikTok. It is for the online course that's on our website on smarteditionacademy.com. Hey, Kira, you could take a screenshot now. Okay, everybody got their screenshots? Okay, now let's move on to our ATI TEAS 7 practice test question. All right, let me find my little doodads here. Nope, we took this. Remember, guys, you can find it. It is actually also on Amazon if you want to Amazon ATI TEAS 7 Smart Edition. But again, it's already pinned here on TikTok. And if you buy it here on TikTok, then you get to stay here with us and keep doing practice test questions. All right, so we've got up an ATI TEAS 7 reading practice test question up, and this is really going to test your understanding of structure. This is going to come from the section of the TEAS exam that's going to ask you questions on craft and structure. Okay, I'm seeing lots of C's, I'm seeing some B's. I'm seeing an A, Alexander says B, Post says B. See in the comments, I'm really struggling with the reading part. Yeah, because reading is actually really tricky because it's not something that you can necessarily study and memorize. It's a technical skill. You have to really practice your reading comprehension skill. You have to know what you're looking for, and it's just lots and lots of practice. Again, that's why taking those practice tests are key. They're going to help you really get clear about what you need to study. If you have the online course, we also have, if you look at the bottom of your online course, we have practice test question by topic. So if you know, for example, main idea or identifying structure are pain points for you, you can do practice test questions just on that. And every single practice test question has a video explanation, so you can be taking notes from those videos, and it just makes learning so much easier. Thank you, Annabelle. I appreciate your compliment. Thank you so much. I don't know what A and B means, so I'm going with C. I love that. You guys are so silly. Hi, Sabrina. Nice to see you. Thanks for always commenting on our TikTok. Sabrina follows us on TikTok, and she always answers our daily practice test question. She makes us feel seen. She makes us feel seen and heard, and like we get to the correct side of TikTok. So I love that. All right, guys. So I'm seeing some C's, Hi, Mimi. So we're live on Mondays and Wednesdays. Glad you're here. You made it to the right side of TikTok. Okay, guys, so the correct answer is C. Which term describes the most likely structure of an essay about how World War II started? That would be a cause and effect. Okay, so let's talk about what cause and effect is, why this is the best answer choice, and really quickly we'll go over why the other ones are not correct, okay? So the correct answer is C, cause and effect, because this is going to be an essay about how World War II started. And if we're writing an essay about why a world war would start, we would have to focus on the reasons, right? The causes. So what was going on in the world? who did what to who, like who popped off first, what was going on, and how that led to the war, all right? Because every time you have an action, there is a reaction. Every time you do something, there's going to be consequences. So cause and effect would be why this answer is correct, because you would be writing about what reasons, what causes led up to the war, and then what were the consequences or like the effects of those causes, okay? Using this sort of structure would help be able to explain the chain of events that resulted in World War II, okay? So that is why you guys are making me laugh here in the comments. You guys are so silly. So let's talk about really quick why A, B, and D are not correct. So A, technical. So when we talk about what technical writing is, we're talking about writing that explains something that is a complex process or very specialized knowledge. So some examples of this would be like a manual, right? Like when you order a TV and it gives you that book that you're not going to read, that is going to be an example of technical. We've got instructions. These are things that are very specific to that thing that you bought or that thing that you're reading about. Technical can also be things like a scientific report. Okay. It's very narrow. It's very focused on that particular thing. Then we've got B, expository. So expository is really about things that provide a general explanation or information without specifically focusing on causes and effects. So for example, an essay on World War II could be expository, right? You could just be in general talking about World War II. You could be talking about when it was, who was involved. You can just kind of do a few paragraphs on each of these different things. How long did it last? Who was the allies? Like you could do all that, but that does not talk about how it started, okay? So B and C are very good answers, but C is the most correct because this is asking us about how World War II started, okay? So that's why C is correct. And lastly, a compare and contrast. So this would be used more so if we were wanting to, if the question was asking us about the similarities or the differences about any like two subjects, if we want to compare and contrast something. So like yoga to Pilates, orange juice benefits to pineapple juice benefits. We would compare those two things side by side. That would be a more appropriate option. But since we're not talking about that, we're not comparing two things, we want to talk about how something started. Cause and effect would be the correct answer here. All right. Now we're going back to math. Everyone's favorite. We're going to word problems. I know. I can hear you groaning all the way here. Hi, Cece. Welcome to this T7 online practice test review. That's so mouthy. We have to come up with a better name for these practice test reviews. Lena says, how did I know? Because I know. Because I know. And that, we were talking earlier about the reading section of the TEAS exam being so tricky, and it is. It's really interesting because if you do really well in the reading section, I guarantee you that you will do really well on all of the other sections of the TEAS exam, simply because reading is such a big part of every single question. And I know you're like, duh, like, of course I have to read each question, but there will be key words that will really initiate or like be key words and phrases to let you know, like, this is what it's asking me. The question before, it was very almost kind of like subtle how it was like, well, it wants to know how it started. So especially with these word problems, it can be very easy to miss a detail. So if you practice your reading skills, you get your reading scores up, I guarantee you across the board, you're going to see an improved scores on all other sections because this test is extremely tricky. There's a lot of wordplay. It will always have two answers that seem really, really good. Okay. Lena says C. Diamond says, oh yeah, I'm lost. I have another C. I hate math. Fadi says C. Hi, Fadi. Nice to see you. I didn't say hello to you earlier. Miss Unbothered says the answer is 100% C. Alejandro says B. I'm really bad at math. Any advice? So the best advice that I can give you is to figure out what in math you're really bad about, okay? So like instead of saying I'm really bad at math, say I'm really bad at fractions. I'm really bad at taking a word problem and turning it into an equation. I'm really bad at geometry. Once you get a little bit more specific about what it is exactly within math that is not your strongest suit, because I know you're not bad at all math. That's just impossible. Just starting with, and even if even if you start being bad at math with like decimals and dividing, even if it seems very early on math, that's okay. But just getting really clear, and that's what taking a practice test is going to be good for you, because you could take a math practice test. You can go over your diagnostic report at the end. You can take your first test at smartadditionacademy.com for free. And then that math section is going to tell you exactly what you need to study more, okay? And so I would just take it step by step, start with the basics and work yourself up, because especially with the TEAS exam, it's all stuff that you've seen in, basic geometry and algebra 1. You're not going to see any calculus, physics. You're not going to see trig. You're not going to see anything too crazy from algebra 2. So just start with your basics and go from there. All of math is a building block. So once you have each level, each foundation, you can just keep building and building. All right, so our answer here is C, 2 years and 1 month. So I saw somebody drop it down in the comments, but for those that missed it, I will just basically echo. But in order to determine how long it's going to take Greg to pay off his student loan, we need to assume that he pays off the accumulated interest each month and reduces the principal loan by $800. So what do they give us? They give us the total loan amount, which is $20,000. The amount paid every month is $8,000, and the interest is paid off separately. Okay? So really, all we need to do here, there's just a lot of words, a lot of stuff, but all you really need to do is you need to divide. So you just need to do 20,000 divide by 8,000. Okay? And when you do that, you're going to get 25, and then you're going to need to convert that, because you see that we're talking about in years. You need to convert that into years and months. Okay? And so we know there's 12 months in 1 year. So 2 years is 24 plus the extra 1. 2 years and 1 month. Okay? So this is a good example of a question that is asking you to do a very basic operation. You are basically dividing, right? But it's talking about interest. It's using words like initial, principal, loan, and all of these things to make it just more fussy than it needs to, because it got a lot of you guys nervous. When you read this, a lot of you were like, and this is actually quite easy. They just made it more complicated. Smiley, you asked a great question. You asked if you would use the interest formula. You wouldn't, because they didn't even give you the interest formula, and even if they did, you would be doing more work than they actually wanted you to do, if that makes sense. Because they're talking about interest, but then they're telling you that he's paying the money and he's just directly applying it to the principal. So interest is really a non-factor. Okay. So remember, for those of you struggling with math, you can take a free TEAS. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. He's paying $800 a month. You can take a free T7 math practice test at our website, smartadditionacademy.com. Completely free. You don't even need to include your email. At the end of each section, including math, you will get a diagnostic report that goes over all of the topics that you'll see and be tested on the math section, and it's going to tell you what you specifically need to study more based on the answers you did. It's also going to time you, so you're going to get a feel and like a sense for how you'll do within the time limit, and the test is intended to simulate what the real test is like. So the same ratio and the same topics that you'll see. So it's got questions on there on ratios, percentages, proportions, one-step algebra, two-step algebra, order of operations, all of that. Okay? Perfect. Let's go over. Now we're back to science. Hi, Felipe from Brazil. Welcome. So this is a great question on macromolecules. And this section is going to, this question you would see it on the biology section or biology categories of your 8 scored science questions on biology. Okay, I'm seeing lots of B's down in the comments. It sounds like you guys know your macromolecules. For those of you that weren't with us earlier in the T7 Live, we went over that macromolecules and microorganisms are some of the newer topics that you will find on version 7 of the test. I got the book on TikTok Shop from the last live. It's been really helpful so far. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, the book is really intended to make studying for the TEAS exam simple. And I know that some of you guys have our T7 online course. If you don't, you can get it for 20% off by using code 20OFF. That makes the price $23.99. You get 8 practice tests, you get flashcards, access to a mobile app, etc. And we also have a pass guarantee. If you use our online course to study for your TEAS exam and you do not pass for any reason, we will give you 200% of your money back. We know that it's going to help you pass your tests guaranteed. So that's awesome to hear. I'm really glad that you're enjoying the book. Yes, I'll show the book cover. This is on TikTok Shop. I believe it's pinned. Let me know if it's not. And then we also have our book on Amazon. You can go to Amazon and just type in ATI TEAS Smart Edition, or like I said, you can get the online course and use code 20OFF at checkout to get your first month for $23.99. Mackenzie, do a lot of people fail? Yeah. A lot of people have to retake their TEAS, even if they don't necessarily fail and they just are short on a few points, because schools are so competitive and a lot of the times the minimum required score is a minimum, no ifs and buts about it. It's very common to have to retake your TEAS. All right, so the correct answer here is B, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. So yes, absolutely, this is correct. And this is because that these are the simplest forms of carbohydrates, and they're composed of the 3 elements here in the general ratio of 1, 2 to 1, okay? And some examples of these would be things like glucose, fructose, and galactose. Perfect. Everyone got it correct because you guys are awesome. That's right, Miss Unbothered. Sarah says, I'm taking my TEAS exam this Wednesday. Any last minute tips? Don't be up all night study on TikTok getting stressed. Don't focus on memorizing practice test questions. Make sure that you really know your scientific reasoning. There's 9 scored scientific reasoning questions on the TEAS science section. A lot of people only focus on A&P, bio, and chemistry, and it can really, really help your score on the science section if you're able to get 9 out of 9 score on those scientific reasoning questions. And those are things are like inductive versus inductive reasoning, being able to come to a conclusion if there's a correlation or not on a graph, things like that, scientific method, designing an experiment, things that you probably saw in middle school and high school, but there are 9 scored questions on those. So just make sure that you spend the hour or two before your test, so maybe tomorrow morning, and just refresh your memory on scientific reasoning, things like independent variables, dependent variables, how do you eliminate bias, all that good stuff. Okay, so I'm seeing some B's, seeing some D's down in the comments. All right, Diamond, we're going to talk about the right answer in just a second. I'm going to try to squeeze in one more question before we call it a night. Thank you, Danielle, for the follow. Thank you, thank you. Can I move the paper up? There, does that help? Okay. Oh, yes, the correct answer is D. So remember, an adjective is a word that describes. So we're talking about their first house, and that's correct because D is describing and modifying the noun, and the noun in this case is the house. Okay. Does anyone need me to explain any of the answer choices, or do you guys want to see our last question for tonight? I'm happy to take a minute or two to explain A, B, and C. Sure, so let's talk about signed. So signed is actually a verb, right? So the act of signing is an action. So signed would be a verb. So they would actually be a pronoun. Signed would be a verb. And the mortgage is the noun. And first would be the adjective. Lena, the answer for this is D. Okay. Perfect. All right. Last question of the day, guys. I can't believe an hour has already gone by. You're welcome, Lena. Remember, guys, if you need more practice, if you need help studying for your TEAS exam, we do have our book now on TikTok Shop. It is pinned down in the comments. Or it should be pinned actually on the bottom of this line, of this live here. And this book goes over everything you need to know for your upcoming TEAS exam. The book is written in a way that's very simple, very easy to understand, lots of visuals, lots of charts, just very easy to understand. Not a lot of jargon like some of the other books that's out there. It's not super tiny font with a bunch of words that make your brain hurt. We really have the intention of making studying for the TEAS exam as simple as possible. Mela, our lives start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they go for about an hour. So we're actually going to wrap up here in the next few minutes. If you're joining us live, you can catch the replay tomorrow on YouTube. If you feel like studying now, we do have other videos on our YouTube channel. So our YouTube is Smart Addition Nursing. We have a playlist with our TikTok replays. In addition, we have we have like a math playlist, we have a science playlist, an English playlist, a reading playlist. We have videos of practice test questions, just all from one section. We have a 1 hour review on math and conversions, math formulas you need to know. Like, we just have so much content on our YouTube page. So if you're catching us live, you can head over to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe. It'll make me happy. Okay. Smart Addition Nursing, or you can put in Smart Addition T7 and you will be able to find our YouTube from there. Everything on our YouTube is free. Okay. You can also find a free practice test at smartadditionacademy.com. And you can also use code 20OFF if you want to buy 1 month of our online course. It makes the course $23.99 a month. Okay. Thank you for subscribing to us on YouTube. That makes me happy. Okay, guys, I see some C's, I see some C's, I see some D's, I see B's. Okay, so we're all over the map. Do I do TikTok live every night? No, I do not. I do not. We do TikTok lives on Mondays and Wednesdays. We do also have a study group, and we post, and we're very active in there every day. And then we have an online course. Tay says, just subscribed as well. First live and I enjoyed. Yay! Thank you so much. I love that. If you know people that are studying for the TEAS exam, help a girl out, okay? If you like this channel, if you like our book, if you like our company, if you like me, I would so appreciate you recommending us to your friend or your friends, plural, if you have more than one friend. You know, as you get older, you get less and less friends, but that's a conversation for a whole other day. Yes, Lena, I love that. All right, guys, so the correct answer, I know we were all over the alphabet with this one. The answer is B. The speaker makes highly emotional arguments. Yes, we can do one more, because so many people are subscribing to us on YouTube, and people are going to buy the book, and they're going to join the online course, and they're going to make us super, super happy. Then we'll do one more question, okay? And then we'll call it a night, because I have to feed my dogs and eat dinner. All right. So which detail about the video, if true, would not give her more reason to trust the video? Now remember, this is basically reading comprehension. This last question, this last statement here is kind of like wordy, but basically it's saying which detail about the video, if it was true, would not give her more reason to trust the video. It's kind of an awkward sentence to say it. The more times I read it, the more I'm like, huh? I know what it's saying, but it just doesn't sound right. So the answer is B, because the speaker making highly emotional arguments. So when you're taking the TEAS exam, it's going to ask you about some of the ways that an author can create an argument. And there's a good way to create an argument, and then there's also bad ways to create arguments. Or you can also there's also fallacies that you can study about, and there's just ways that you can tell that an argument is not credible. It's not an effective argument, okay? So arguments are going to be something that you need to know for your TEAS exam. So the speaker making highly emotional arguments, anytime you have high emotion, it's going to basically not make yourself credible, right? Because in order for something to be credible, especially when we're talking about something like scientific research, right? We need to understand the context here. When we're talking about scientific research, the presentation should be about things that are like based on facts, evidence, logical reasoning, and we don't want to use things like an emotional appeal. If the speaker relies on an emotional argument instead of having data present or research findings or logical reason, okay, it's going to reduce the credibility rather than enhancing it, okay? So that is why answer B is correct. Again, this is a very tricky question, simply because of the way that they worded the questions. How do you join the study group? So I saw a few times this came through. So we'll go over one question. We'll go over one last question, but really quickly I'll touch on the study group. So how do I tell you easily to join the study group? Okay, so you can go to Facebook. You're going to go to groups. You want to search. I call everything Google. You're going to go to Facebook. You're going to go to groups. You want to look for the ATI TEAS 7 study group, but there's a lot of them out there, and I'm not in all of them, right? And so you want to look for the one that is specifically made by Smart Addition Nursing. Our group is the best group. That's the one you have to join, okay? So you want to look up Smart Addition Nursing's ATI TEAS 7 group. If you also go to our YouTube channel, if you've already opened up a tab and you've already subscribed and made me happy, if you found our TikTok replay list or whatever else you want to watch over on our YouTube channel, if you go to any of the links in description on our YouTube channel, it's going to link the study group, and it'll also link the free practice test and the online course. Okay? Yes, Lena, the TEAS is the same. All right, so last question. Facebook group, Smart Addition Nursing, ATI TEAS 7. B made it sound so easy. I gave you guys the very long-winded answer. All right. Last math question. We're ending it on a question that requires you to have this formula memorized. And for those of you that are a little bit afraid of trig, don't worry. The triangle-related questions on the TEAS exam will not get any more complicated than this kind of caliber of questions. All right, so I'm going to let you guys answer this last question here. Then we're going to walk through it together, and then we will call it a night. Okay, while you guys are working this out, you guys are asking me, how many questions are in the book? Okay, so let's do math together. There's 170 questions. The book includes 3 practice tests in the book. So 170 times 3 is how many book? Well, and then there's also practice tests in every single lesson. And we actually have quizzes after every few chapters. So I would say the book printed has easily over 600 questions. If you do the online course, there's over 1,500 questions, just because, nobody wants to be walking around with a 1,000-page book. So being that it's an online resource, we're just able to provide so much more without having to do a hard print. So I had this exact question in my TEAS today, just different numbers. See, I'm saying our material is extremely similar. We guarantee that if you use our materials to study for the TEAS exam, you will pass, okay? So if you use the online course, we have the pass guarantee. We have our book on TikTok. We have our book on Amazon. We want you guys to pass your tests, be great, study for the TEAS 7 the easy way, not the hard way. All right, I'm seeing some C's. Do I have any other answers here? C's, A's, B's. All right, guys. So for those of you that said 8, C, you are correct. Okay, so let's go over what we know for this, and then let's go over the formula. So we're given a right triangle, okay? So that's keyword here is it's telling us that we have a right triangle, which more or less looks like that. And then so this has told us a few things. It's told us that the base is 6 inches. And then it's told us that the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, this is the hypotenuse, is 10 inches. Okay. Is 10. And then it's told us that the area is 24. Okay. So we know these things, but what do we need to do? We need to find the height. we have 3 question marks for the height, okay? So it's always important to read and get clear of what you're working with and what you need to actually be finding. So very similar to the very first question that we did tonight, where we kind of worked backwards with the area of a circle question in order to find the radius. We are basically doing the same thing, but with the area of a triangle. Okay, so the area of a triangle is area, okay, A equals 1/2 base times height. So very similarly to what we did is we want to plug in what we know. So area, they told us is 24, bam, 1/2, it's told us our base, and then the height, we don't know. So now we just basically have to start solving this, all right? So in order to solve for the height, we need to multiply both sides by 2 in order to get rid of the fraction, okay? So we're going to do this on that side, and we're going to do this on that side so that this can cancel out, okay? So then we're left with 48 equals, I'm going to scoot it on up in here. I see you guys asking me for that. Okay. And then we're going to have 48 equals 6h. From there, we need to divide both sides by 6 because we want to get the h by itself. So divide both sides by 6, and that's how we get 8 equals h. So we want to multiply by 2 because here we have 1/2, which implies division. And so when you want to isolate a variable, you want to, basically the same way that you would do PEMDAS, you want to do the opposite of that, right? So if this is dividing by 2, we want to multiply by 2 to cancel out that fraction. So this is the simplest and the fastest way. And so if you wanted to, you really wouldn't need to do this. You could also use the algorithm theorem in order to solve for this and just make sure that everything equals out to each other. And that would basically be, my friend had a very similar question on her TEAS exam last week. I'm telling you, you need to know, you need to be prepared for some questions on circles, and you need to be prepared for 1 or 2 questions on triangles. It will not get any harder than this, but it will be very, very, very similar to this. Yes, Odette. That's exactly right. The 1/2 is basically the fraction. That implies division. So you would do 1 times 2 to cancel out the fraction. Yes, the live is going to be available on YouTube as a replay. You can also go to our YouTube now. We have a TikTok TEAS replay list. In addition, we have a playlist for reading, English, math, and science. So we have, for example, videos like a 1-hour-long video about word problems and conversions. We have videos about everything you need to know for the biology section, exactly what you need to study, chemistry, A&P, how to create a study plan for the reading section, all of that. Wendy says, are the books you sell downloadable? So the book itself is not downloadable, but we do have a TEAS 7 online course. Okay, the TEAS 7 online course, you can access it on your computer or also on your phone. You can get the online course. You can use code 20OFF at checkout. at smarteditionacademy.com. Enter in code 20OFF. On the website, you just need to pick TEAS, and then it's going to take you to the online course page. If you use code 20OFF, you can do a 1-month program, which will be $23.99 with the coupon code, or you can do 3 months, which is the best deal. I believe it's $47.99 when you use code 20OFF. It has 8 practice test questions. It has 8 practice tests, has flashcards, it has interactive online course for every topic that you need to know. There's videos. Every practice test question also has videos, and then it also includes a mobile app. And what a lot of people tell me that they do is they connect Bluetooth, and when they're driving, working out, washing the dishes, whatever, they listen to our videos. All right. So thanks, you guys. And then also just remember, on YouTube, Smart Edition Nursing, you can get 20% off our online course by going to smarteditionacademy.com. Enter in code 20OFF at checkout. The 1-month course, $23.99. 3-month course, $47.99. We have a pass guarantee if you use our course to study for the TEAS exam. And if you don't pass for any reason, we will give you 200% of your money back. In addition, we've got the book here on TikTok Shop, ATI TEAS 7 online course, okay? And it's also available on Amazon. Just Amazon search ATI TEAS Smart Edition. Okay, guys, I've got 3 little dogs, and they're hungry. So if you have any extra questions, you can always join our study group. We're very active in there. We're always sharing tips and tricks. People that take their tests go back in the group and they share what they saw on the test, or what they felt like they helped, or what helped them. So make sure you go to Facebook and join the Smart Edition ATI TEAS 7 study group. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye, guys.